these functions, we're gonna add a little bit of stuff in front, up with the exponent and after. I wanna see if you can understand how to graph this. So the parent function to this problem is y equals 3 to the x power. 3 is your base, okay? So what we would do here is we would make a table of values like we've done in the past using just y equals 3 to the x. So if this were a 2 here, it would be y equals 2 to the x. If it were a half here, it'd be y equals 1/2 to the x. Okay? So can you give me 4 points that I can easily graph? What x values should I use?
0, 1, 2, 3.
0, 1, 2, 3. How about let's do a -1 also? -1, 0, 1, and 2. How's that? If you want to do 3 also, you can. When we plug -1 in here, what do you get?
-3.
What?
1/3.
1/3. Good. When we put a 0 here, what do we get?
1.
1,
3.
3,
9.
and 9. So if I asked you to graph y equals 3 to the x power, these would be your main points that you would graph, right? Now, how do you graph the real problem that I'm asking you to graph? So do you remember all the transformations? Does anyone know where we would start?
Add 2 to x.
Very good. Who said that? Good job, Sammy. You're going to add 2 to the x power. Or not to the x power, to the x values right here. So this is your first transformation. It's a shift 2 units right. So we're going to add 2 to your x values. What do you get when you add 2 to these x values?
You get
You get
those
1, 2,
numbers.
3, 4. What do we do with the y values? Hang on to them. Okay, next. Where do you think you go from there? I heard it, Alexa, right?
Yeah,
She said multiply what?
the y is by 2.
The y's by
-2.
what?
-2.
And can you tell me what these 2 things do?
Shifts it, or, yeah.
It's a reflection over the x-axis and it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. So if we multiply the y values by -2, what do you get? I'm going to cover that so you don't use these x's. So what's -2 times a third? -2/3. What's -2 times 1? -2, -6, -18. What do you do with the x values?
Keep them.
Hang on to them, keep them the same. And I bet you guys could tell me the last transformation. What do you do?
Add 1 to the y's.
It's 1 unit up, and you're going to add 1 to your y values. So tell me what you get. If we added 1, what is -2/3 plus 1? 1/3. Good job. What's -2 plus 1?
-1.
And
-5. -6.
why is it positive? This one? -2/3 plus 1, make this 3/3. So it's 1/3. Okay, now I want you to graph these points here. Over 1 up a third. 2 -1. 3 -5. And 4 -6, 17, but it's off the page. So what is happening is this thing is coming and it's gonna look like that. Now, did anyone have problems with that, getting those numbers? Now, I want to ask you a question. Where is this thing hitting the y-axis?
1.
Nope,
-2.
nope,
+2.
it's not -2.
1.
What does it mean when it hits the y-axis? What does it mean?
X is 0.
X is 0. Not x is 0. Yes, x is 0. Your y-intercept,
Yeah.
you're gonna plug 0 in for x and you would solve it. So when you're finding the y-intercept, what you could do is plug 0 in here. So if there's a point that you don't have, you could actually, you know, just, I would wanna know where it hits the y-axis. So I would put a 0 right here. What is 0 minus 2?
-2.
What is 3 to the negative 2 power?
1/9.
It is 1/9. And what's this? Negative 2/9. What would I make this? Can I make it 9/9? And then you get 7/9. So this thing is hitting at 7/9, just below 1. Mine's a little off, so it's actually like right there. Okay? See if you can do the next one. It says y equals 2 times 1/2 to the x plus 4 power minus 3. Can someone tell me what the parent function is? Y equals 1/2 to the x power. That's the mama function. So I need some values for x, like -1, 0, 1, and 2. If I put a -1 here, what is 1/2 to the -1 power?
2.
Yep. If I put a 0 here, 1/2 and 1/4. So what's my first transformation? What am I gonna do? You start up
Subtract 4
here.
from the x's.
You take your x value and do what?
Subtracting by 4.
Subtract 4. So, what would I get when I subtract 4? What do I get when I subtract 4?
+3.
You get -5. -1 minus 4 is
Oh, yeah, plus
-5. -4, -3, and -2. What would be my next transformation?
Multiply the y
Multiply
by
the y values by 2. Can you do that for me? Multiply the y values by 2. Multiply these y values by 2, I get 4, 2, 1, and 1/2. And the last thing I'm gonna do,
2. Subtract 3.
take the graph and shift it 3 units down. I do that by subtracting 3 to the y's. Keep the x's the same. So subtract 3, you get 1. Subtract 3. Subtract 3. What is 1/2 minus 3?
2.5.
-2.5. So we're gonna graph over 5 up 1. And over 4 down 1. Over 3 down 2. And over 2 down 2.5. Now, could you tell me what this is getting closer and closer to but never gonna cross?
3.
Y equals -3, right there. Here's your graph. Was that hard? No. Okay, now today, if I asked you to take one of these two problems, and if I asked you to find, we looked at where it hits the y-axis. If I asked you, where does this thing hit the x-axis? So you have y equals -2 times 3 to the x minus 2 plus 1. To find out where it hits the x-axis, what would you do with this y? You're going to put a 0 in for y,
And solve for x.
and you'd solve for x. Would anyone in this class know how to solve for x. And I'm gonna rewrite it. I'm just putting the 0 on the other side. If anyone in this class right now can solve this problem, please let me know,
Have a
because
guess.
I'm gonna put you in my pre-calc class.
Do you put everything in the column too? Cancel out that.
And that's why we're gonna learn what we're gonna
Subtract
learn.
one.
Is it logarithms?
Subtract one, divide by -2.
Ms. Burback knows.
I'm just
Okay,
thinking.
can
you guys think
anybody,
this.
can I hear anyone tell me how to do this problem? Anyone? So I'm
What's the first
assuming,
step?
you think you can do it?
Well, not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing? Okay, well, when I'm done with you, you're gonna be able to do this whole thing.
Where would you start?
Well, you'd subtract one.
Subtract one.
Subtract 1, you wanna get this base by itself, so subtract 1. I'm gonna give you that. Then what? Divide, I'm gonna give you that. You got 2 points, and that's because Ms. Burback gave you a hint.
Yeah, no, no.
Okay, now what would you do? Who could solve this problem?
Should you raise everything to the
No, you
second
can't
column?
divide by 3. I'm gonna teach you.
Or should we raise it to the second?
You are gonna rewrite this problem in log form,
Oh.
okay?
Logarithms.
So, this is what the log form, this is my intro to why you have to learn what you have to learn, is to do a problem like this. To find out where the graph hits the x-axis, you can't do this unless you know logs. So, we have different languages, right? And in math, we have this is exponential language, and we have a log language, okay? The log language, we convert this to log, it looks like this, and we're gonna talk more about it. It would be the log of 1/2 base 3 equals x minus 2. Now, on your calculator, you're gonna grab the calculator. I wish I would've made you grab it, but hang on. You're gonna type in your calculator log, you're gonna hit control log, and then type in 3 here and a 1/2 here. Get an answer, which is -0.63093. And then what would you do next? What do you think? I bet you can finish it from here.
Add 2.
I heard it. Brett, what would you do?
Add 2.
Add 2. So take your answer and add 2 to it, and the answer is 1.36. So let's go to our graph here that we graphed. Would you agree that this thing is hitting at about 1.36?
Yes.
Here's your x, that's your x-intercept. Your y-intercept was 0.79. So we need a way to figure out these kinds of problems, and that's what we're doing today, okay? So what I want you to do is grab, actually you don't need a calculator. You don't need a calculator. Here's your notes.
Can I just stop recording?
No, no, Can you just pass these down there? I'm just guessing, Brett? Okay, here's your notes for today. They've got them.
They got one for me?
Here. Okay, everybody look at this little intro here. Do you agree that 2 to the 3rd power is 8? Thumbs up?
Yes.
2 to the 3rd is 8?
Yeah.
And 2 to the 4th is 16, right?
Wow.
Well, what if I said 2 to what power is 10?
3.5.
I don't know.
3.5.
So Brett says it's about 3.5. Well, that's good. That's a good guess. I'm glad you didn't say 5 or 6 or 7. You know it's between 3 and 4, right? So, how would you do this problem? Well, you need to know how to convert them to logs. How do you convert this to logs? This is read 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Converting this to logs would be the log of 8 base 2 is equal to 3. This one right here would be log of 16 base 2 is 4. I want you to remember this. A log, this helped me in college. A log is an exponent. Keep that in your head. A log is an exponent. So a log is the exponent. Do you agree that the exponent was after the equal to sign?
Yes.
These are your exponents. The other thing I remembered is the base, the big base here shows up as the small number here. Okay, so you've got the log, this is red, the log, this is the answer. The answer, 2 to the third power is 8, so that answer shows up right here next to log. Log of 8 base 2 is 3. So how would you rewrite this one? This would be the log of 10 base 2 is x. So on your calculator now, what you can do, on the calculator, you can type this in your calculator. You're gonna hit,
Should they have calculators?
they should, but that's okay right now. You're gonna type in log, and then you're gonna type in 2 here, and scroll over and hit it, and put a 10 there. Can you guys see that okay?
Mhm.
Or is it too small? And then when you hit enter, you're gonna get your answer. So Brett guessed 3.5.
Okay.
What's the real
Can you have a
answer?
look?
3.3.
It's about 3.3. 3.3. So the answer is about 3.3. So in other words, 2 to the 3.3 power is approximate. It's not exact, but it's close. It's about 10. So the first thing I need you to be able to do is I need you to know the difference between exponential and log form. So this is a different language. You've got to be able to convert from one to the other. So right now, we're going to practice this. We're going to get good at this. Going from 2 to the third power is 8 to the log of 8 base 2 is 3. They're all mixed, the numbers are mixed up. So you got to know what goes where. So let's practice. Example 1. How do you write 5 to the third power is equal to 25 in log form?
Log base 5.
It's, yeah, first we say the number, log of 125, then you go to the base 5 equals, what did we say a log is? It's an exponent. Good job. How would you write the next one?
Log 8 base
Log of 8 base
1.
1/2 is equal to negative 3. Can you go the other way? Can you go the other way? Can you take a log problem and write it in exponential?
3 to the 4th power equals
Yep.
81.
You start here, 3 is your base, the power is 4, is 81. And how about the next one?
4 to the negative 2 power is 1/16.
Equals 1/16. Now, you know in algebra how we say x is really a 1x, right? We don't have to put the 1, or x, it's to the first power. Well, in logs, if you don't see a base, so if I gave you this, if I don't have a number here, and I wanted to use, what did I want to do? Log of 100. If you don't see a base here, it is understood to be 10.
Yeah, so if you put 2 on the other side, it would be
You would have a 2 here, because 10 to the second power is 100. So if I asked you what is the log of 100, it's 2, because 10 to what power is 100? 10 to the second power is 100. So if you don't see a base, if you don't see a little baby number here, it's not because they forgot it, it's a 10. Just like when we don't put a 1 in front of x, it's not because we forgot it, it's a 1. So you gotta remember, and we call these common logs. So anytime you see a log that doesn't have a base, it's a 10. And those are called, that's a common log number. So now, can you do this problem? Number 5, you're gonna need a calculator. So, how do you rewrite this problem? Log
Log of 85 to 10.
log of 85 base 10. Now, I don't need to write it, but that's equal to x. I can put it in there if I want, or I don't have to. It's the same thing. Now, all you'd have to do is type in your calculator log 85. So if you just have any calculator, you can just hit log 85. Log 85 and hit enter, and the answer is 1.93. Okay, and the last one here, how would you do this one? This is the log of what? 1 over 109 base 10. And to type this in your calculator, in a minute I'm gonna let you guys grab calculators. Log of 1 divided by 109 is negative, whoops, sorry, negative 2.04. Okay, now, I wanna see if you can answer these questions down below without a calculator. How would you do them? You're solving for the letter V. This is what the trick is.
Yeah, and they turned them the other way.
Rewrite them. Yep, they're all switched. Do you know how to rewrite them in exponential form? Can you rewrite it in exponential form and find the answer? So how would you do the first one? What's the exponential form for number 7? 3 is the base, 3 to the 4th power is V. Well, do you know what 3 to the 4th power is? What is it? 81. There you go. How about number 8? How would you rewrite that in exponential form? V, some number raised, multiplied 5 times is 32. Do you guys know what it is?
2.
What is it? I heard
2.
2. 2 to the 5th power, so V is 2. Okay, what about 9?
9 to the 1/2 power.
Well, what does 9 to the 1/2 power mean? Does it mean 9 divided by 2?
Square root of 9.
It means the square root of 9. And there was a time when we used to struggle with that, and you guys are really good at it now. V is 3. Very happy. Number 10. How about the next one? 6 to the negative 2 power. You guys used to struggle with negative exponents, and you're good at them now. What does negative 2 power mean?
1 to the 36.
Yep, that's 1 over 36. So far, okay? These aren't that bad, are they? How about 11? V to the 1/2 power is equal to 4. Now, some of you can do that in your head, but we did these, believe it or not, last chapter. Do you remember what we had to do to this side? Raise it to the
Second power.
second, because we wanted to get rid of those, so you raise that to the second. So what's your answer?
16.
V is 16. 12.
Oh god.
What's that one? 1/3, good job. The cube root, so the cube root of 125 is 5. So V is 1/3. You are right. The last two are the hardest. 10 to what power is 0.001? Anyone think they know? Do you know how to write 0.001 another way in base
1/1000?
10?
I want to say it's 1/1000.
It's 1 over 1,000. Right. That's what that is. Now, how can you bring this up here and make it in base 10?
To the negative 100?
Negative 3. 10 to the negative 3 power is really 1 over 1,000.
Oh,
Did that make sense?
yes, I'm just
You
bad
can
at math.
cross that's that 1-to-1 rule, so V is negative 3. So 0.001 is really 1 over 1,000. And this is really 1 over 10 to the third, which is 10 to the negative 3. See, this is really 10 to the third. So if you want to bring that up, you make it 10 to the negative 3. And the last one. 4 to what power is the square root of 2? This is the hardest one. Well, how do you write the square root of 2 in another way? 2 to the half power. Can I make this as a 2? I can make this 2 squared, and then it's x. 2 to the 2x power is really 4 to the x power. These two x's cross out, that's that 1-to-1 rule. So you have 2x equals 1/2. What's my answer? Anyone know? 1/4. Divide by 2, or multiply by 1/2. Okay, those are your notes. Brett?
Yep.